Hello, and welcome to Dice Try, the RPG and storytelling podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Schaub.
So I started doing some research and putting together stuff for that gothic horror story that we want to do. But I just wanted to ask you guys some questions real quick about. I'll give you kind of the shortened version of the world, and then you can kind of talk to me about like how your character might fit into that. I'm not necessarily saying that you need to know right at this moment what your character will be, but I want to put some things in your head to think about for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I know we were talking about like 50s and 60s, but I went a little earlier than that to 1908.
Oh,
nice.
Specifically for two reasons. During that time, it's late Victorian period. A lot of richer people were using magic as kind of like parlor tricks. They would invite people over to communicate with the dead via spirit mediums or stuff like that.
So ectoplasm.
Yeah.
That whole thing.
Magicians would be performing on stage instead of being relegated to carnivals and stuff like that. The theater of the grotesque, which is that rich people would go watch a show in which somebody would be executed or whatever. They would use like real animal guts or whatever.
Grand Guignol.
Yeah. So the other reason that I chose that time period is that the story will revolve around something called the Black Patch Tobacco Wars, which is between 1904 and 1909. A bunch of tobacco farmers basically formed a vigilante army in Kentucky and were attacking sharecroppers and stuff like that. And there was a lot of race buried into that as well. Race relations and stuff like that. In the early 1900s, there's no exact year, but in Kentucky, a woman and her son were burned at the stake for witchcraft. So those are kind of the things that are floating around in the world at that time. I do want to say that I want to try and avoid, if you are magic casters, try and avoid something that might be tied to race, such as voodoo, because I think that's something that could very easily fall into racial stereotyping. And
yeah, not to interrupt, but I don't think anyone's really thinking about role playing outside of their race. At least I'm not.
Yeah, I'm just
but specifically using like voodoo magic or
yeah. So I feel like I don't want to tie it to any sort of racial connotation per se. So I just want to hear from you guys a little bit, like if your character is an actual magic caster and that's sort of a rarity in the world, how you as a player might be interested in being a magic caster, such as like a spirit medium or even a rainmaker or something like that, because that would have been a thing back in the early 1900s. Guys show up in town.
Divining the what is it? The rods with the water.
Yeah, or saying that they could create rain for the crops or whatever.
Dowsing? What is it? Dowsing?
Yeah. Part of my idea was that you all work for a secret society called the Keller House, which is supposedly a house of magic, but it's really like charlatans, like stage magicians and spirit mediums who get hired by rich people to go perform, or the way they make money is they go out and something like miraculous will happen and they'll take credit for it. Like, oh, it hasn't rained in Nevada for the past 2 years. Suddenly a thunderstorm hits while somebody from the Keller House goes and pretends that they were the one who caused the rain to make money. But potentially you guys could be actual magic casters or charlatans yourselves.
Okay.
Just give me like a little bit of an idea of if you're going to be telling a gothic horror story with kind of an investigation element in it, what you might want to play as a character.
Well, I was thinking of maybe being like a medium who like tells fortunes or whatever, and that's sort of my like facade. but being an actual like healer for people that who are in the know can come to me for like, you know, like healing potions. Back in those days, there'd be like a sort of like a midwife that would perform abortions safely for people who, you know, didn't have that option and things, you know, sort of tying it into things like that.
Kind of a medical, but also kind of a witchy lady.
Yeah, but like on the down low, so only like people who were like in the know would be able to get those things. But then I would make money off of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do a tarot reading for you.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay.
Pretty clever.
Cool.
Paul, did you have any idea about what you might want to do?
You mentioned this is in Kentucky, right?
Yes.
Well, I feel really dumb saying this. What were people speaking like back then? Were they deep in that Southern accent?
By the 1900s, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that it would actually probably be more pronounced because based on what I understand of linguistics, that rich Southern tradition, that aristocracy spoke with that accent to basically mark themselves as colonists, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I would like to do a character who is non-magical, but I feel like that's also what I was before. So if you said, hey, maybe you should do a magical character, I'd be totally down for that.
Okay.
I mean, is there Paul, how are you feeling about the accent? Are you excited about it? Was that a question because you?
I definitely want to do the accent.
Okay, well then, I mean, if you want to do the accent and if that's an exciting thing, like maybe there's a local liaison, like someone who either calls the Keller House or someone who is connected some way to the actual network.
What if it's like a lawman and it's kind of out of their depth of, you know, what they do. And they're like, I don't know how to deal with this, you know, and maybe they're like, I know some people who know some things.
Would that be like this world's equivalent of a ranger?
Yeah.
Well, I was actually going to mention this. So I did some research on Kentucky folklore, and there's not a lot about magic, but there is an awful lot about monsters. In Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy, rangers are basically people who track monsters for a living.
Interesting.
So maybe that is something that you have come across in the past as a lawman, and maybe you don't know if it's real. Maybe you do know it's real.
I like that a lot.
That'd be kind of interesting. You tie together like occult and paranormal.
Yeah.
And then he'll be kind of like the tie to the real world. Someone who's just kind of investigates but meets people who are into weird stuff.
And then, Earl, did you have any particular ideas about how you want to interpret your character for this story?
Yeah, I mean, I guess since we're going so far back, I would assume that there are major headquarters in large cities for the Keller House. Yes, is that a correct assumption?
Yeah, it would mostly be on the coast, so like San Francisco and Philly kind of thing.
So like I would imagine that I would be deployed down to this area. Like I had this sort of weird idea of like kind of like a soothsayer, like traditionally as far as like lineage goes, but like not quite Shinto priest level of soothsayer, but again, sort of in that spirit medium, rituals and charms and calligraphy and whatnot, and trained like in traditional Japanese and Korean like mystic arts. I imagine this magic to be sort of like kind of older, like and
sort of like the Exorcist guy in The Wailing.
Yes. Pretty much exactly, actually. Okay. But I would like, one of the things that I'm thinking of is just sort of in the realm of reality, or the realm of like, I know we're talking about monsters and cryptids and whatnot, but we're using a very specific place in a very specific time. Like it would be that my character has somehow gotten a Western education or somehow gets to boarding school and is pretty much educated and, you know, in a very Western mentality, like, but in a very like proper, not primitive savage trope, but in sort of that like rides the line of very foreign and very
not the way that Westerners view magic.
Yeah. But is still sort of learning the connections and conduits of how that subset of magic works within this whole sort of empirical understanding of what the mystic arts are, I guess, is sort of my like initial thinking of what to look at or how to build my character. I don't know if that's helpful or if that's...
Knowing these things will just kind of help me tell the story in such a way that it will be useful to the skills that your characters will have.
Yeah.
Because I don't necessarily want to write something that then turns out your characters can't do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I would assume that we have a uniform from the...
No, I don't think so.
I mean, and I don't mean like actual like, you know, like emblems and things, but like in the sort of like Men in Black have a uniform. Like we all have coats, jackets, umbrella, I don't know, or something, or like some sort of element of a accessory that sort of sets us as being a unit, or just we looking like normal people.
Well, you definitely don't look like normal people because part of the thing with the Keller House is that they're like there's a performative aspect to all the members of it. So like if you are an Eastern practitioner, they might ask you to dress in a more Eastern fashion because all the Western audiences would be, oh, look at the strange Eastern man with the long beard and the robes or whatever. You would probably have some sort of insignia on a ring or something like that. Maybe a stamp that you can seal envelopes with, something like that. I mean, your insignia ring could do both.
You get a hat pin?
Sure.
I mean, you can have a hat pin if you want to have a hat pin.
No, I mean, I'm just thinking of like if they would rather me be sort of leaning into the exoticness, then maybe I do have long hair. Maybe I do hold it up. Maybe it does stay fastened in a way. And also it's a weapon.
And it would be interesting too, I think, because it is supposed to be a bit more on the down low, right? The like society.
The name of the place is on the down low.
So having like some sort of emblem that maybe is interpreted differently for some people. Like maybe for me it's a pendant. Maybe for you it's a hat pin. Maybe for Paul it's a ring, sort of thing. But they all, maybe they all do the wax seal thing as like
it works as a signet.
But it's like housing is different for everyone.
Yeah, like it's an accessory, or maybe it's like a cufflink.
Yeah, a cufflink.
I don't think normal people would recognize the symbol. I think it's more to identify yourself to other members of the Keller House. Because the idea, it's sort of a well-kept secret that all mystics in America, even the ones who perform on stage and aren't actually mystics or magicians, all work for the Keller House.
Are registered in some way.
Yeah. So it's a thing where, like, going throughout the rest of society, you will deal with the kind of normal things in early 20th century, problems people would have until you interact with someone who knows that world.
Yeah.
As far as the network goes of the Keller House, I don't know. I imagined it like in like a government agency kind of, like FBI kind of, even in like Doctor Strange kind of, like there's a headquarters, there's a branch, there's a liaison for the city or like a liaison for the region, and then we report to them? Or is it like we're all just sort of freelance and we all just sort of have to sort of figure it out? There's no like central information place?
There is a bureaucracy to it, but it might be more something like the Explorers Society of London or something like that. Like there are bureaucratic members sitting in a very cushy house, let's say in like Philadelphia, for example. And they will send out agents to go unexplore the untamed regions of the earth. In this case, being like more mystical type situations. But then they also send out people to go on stage and sell people on the idea of magic. So I don't necessarily think they would have like heads of each state or each city.
Okay.
But they do have like agents that they send out into the world, and some are more just like stage positions, and some are actually like, I'm going to go investigate this supposed sea monster living in Lake Erie, and I'll report back to the Keller House whether or not there's actually a sea monster there, and if we could make money on this event somehow.
So then there is like a central command that gives orders that we sort of report to, and there's like a officer hierarchy. Like, is there like we're on a team, or we are all agents that get put on teams?
It's sort of like maybe the Masonic Temple or something, you know? Like there's the temple leader and his chairs that sit with him making the important decisions, and then there's officers right below them kind of working their way down. And depending on the needs that are presented, they might just send out one agent, or they might send out a team of agents.
Okay. How do we get into the Keller House? How did we get here?
I imagine it might be like pro wrestling, you know, like you're performing at some shitty stage in San Francisco or something like that, or you're reading fortunes in a tent somewhere in like a mining camp, and somebody just approaches you. So yeah, you kind of get scouted.
All of the mystical entertainers have been like the public sees in this universe, in this world, in this version of America, are all conscripted somehow to the Keller House.
I would say a majority, especially if it's in the Keller House's best interests. They're sort of privatizing magic.
I mean, because it's also like, this is the era of like, it's like Houdini, right? That's the same. Is that the same time period?
Yeah, it would be like Houdini, early vaudeville, you know, a lot of performing on stage, you know, white men pretending to be Eastern.
Oh, Chongling Stew. Oh, yeah. I do actually love Chongling Stew, like just as a bizarre specimen of human.
So yeah, I would say a vast majority, but maybe not all. So if you wanted to say, oh, my character isn't in the Keller House, but they are a mystic, I would say that probably one of you needs to be in it at least. I know Paul has already kind of said that maybe he's like your eyes on the ground, like a local lawman or hunter from.
Yeah. Or like shit that he can't explain, or stuff that's happened, or like, oh, I arrested this person and then they were gone. Like, or this person has no fingerprints. Like,
without spoiling how the story exactly is going to start, a weird thing is going to happen to Paul's character, and he contacts someone at the Keller House who he's run across before because Keller agents have come to that part of the country before.
Fried chicken related?
How did you know?
There's actually 11 of them. They're known as the Spicy Council. They've been ruling that area with an iron fist. And
yeah, spoiler alert, but the mission is to get the secret recipe to Kentucky Fried Chicken.
The leader of the Keller House is the Colonel.
Well,
this is the story of how KFC became KFC.
His secret is that it's not chicken, it's a cockatrice.
Oh, man.
That's why it's so delicious.
That's so delicious.
Oh, shit.
It tastes the magic.
Yeah.
Did you have any questions for me, Crista, about the campaign that I'm planning, so I can kind of think about it? Or questions that you might have that I can answer?
I feel like I need a little bit more of the world to like form my character, because I just have that like base idea of it so far, of like someone who is that sort of under the table doctor that people go to for things, but I'm also have a front as like fortune teller. How much like of that sort of magic is in that area? I know you said that it's a lot of like folklore and monster stuff, but is there any sort of like sects of magic that I should be driving towards aside from like, you know, traditional White Witch Wiccan sort of situation?
So the idea of like a traveling fortune teller would not have been that unusual. Might not have necessarily traveled to like smaller communities in the South, especially in Kentucky around that time period, because a woman and her child were burned at the stake in the early 1900s for witchcraft. If you are like a traveling fortune teller, you probably traveled to areas similar to that, but maybe not that exact same area. In terms of the White Witch Wiccan thing, spirit healers would have been a thing, but they probably would have been either more associated with like Christianity, like laying on of hands and stuff like that, or some kind of either Eastern or Native American sect.
Yeah. I feel like if anything in that area, there's like hoodoo, like hill folk, like Appalachian magic, which is sort of this like country mountain magic. That's
not necessarily that you have to be that specific.
No, but I mean, as far as like what would be in that area that like people would know, I guess is more what I'm talking about, because I think those are the points of context that maybe you would disguise as, maybe not, you know, or like you would, whatever your magic is putting on the clothes of the country, because that's the area you're in. But then once you move to, like, if you were going then up to down to the South, you know, you could then, it could be contextualized in a different type of magic or stuff like that.
I think that's going to help with the podcast itself. I think I like this idea of, you know, everyone doing a little bit of research into characters in time, because I feel like that was the one thing that was kind of missing with Iloa.
That's always the hard thing about playing in a fantasy world that has no connection to reality.
Yeah.
Like the fact that, you know, there is going to be a supernatural element to the story, but yet it is set in America at some time in the past that actually existed.
Yeah.
And using, you know, actual historical events and places as touchstones makes it a little easier. Yeah, especially when you like create a fantasy world from scratch, because, you know, there are fantasy worlds that they've written dozens of books about to help players and DMs know, but if you want to make something from scratch, it always gets more difficult, especially if I start to forget the names of things and places that I created, which happens. I will say that the place you are traveling to, basically it's all going to take place on one plantation community once you actually travel there. Basically a town that springs up around a plantation. All the workers and their families live there. It is going to be God-fearing country, so there might be some pushback if you are openly presenting yourself as, you know, mystics.
I have a feeling I'm going to buy a lot of books on this subject because I don't want to read them in general. Like they reference one in this article, which is Midwives and Nurses, A History of Women Healers. I'm like, yeah, cool, down.
I didn't want that book for myself.
So would it be more beneficial for my character to be more of like someone who isn't not necessarily like a fortune teller, but is like on the down low, a healer that maybe has like a
day job?
no, but like basically a front. An herb shop where you can get like your dry goods, but I also sell like herbs for witchcraft, and if you know like the like secret knocker or whatever, I'll take you into the back room for healing sessions. Or
I think you could probably get away with being a traveling fortune teller, because tarot reading has always been kind of considered, you know, like the safe version of.
Like, yeah.
of witchcraft. And they're also kind of like, traveling snake oil salesmen or something like that. They're generally kind of considered harmless. People think more of the people who go to see you, like they think less of them for having to go see you than of you yourself. Like, I can't believe that Cletus went to see that tarot reader. What an idiot.
I didn't think he was someone who believed in that. Who?
I do kind of like that element of having, like, people trust me, but, like, people who are in the know, like, will trust me.
Yeah. I mean, your cover could also be kind of transient, dependent upon like your mission or where you're traveling is. Like, oh, sometimes she's a seamstress and sometimes she's a school teacher. I thought of two very like classically feminine occupations, and I didn't do that on purpose. But considering the time period, it would also probably be the least conspicuous for a woman.
I probably wouldn't be a woman traveling by myself as like a salesperson.
You'd have muscle though. You could. That would be interesting.
Like if I was like, oh, you could buy my tea. But I was also thinking like of being not necessarily a traveling person, but someone within the community that people have gone to for a long time for things specifically like abortion and things like that as the safe haven for that.
Are you thinking that you already live in Kentucky in this community that
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. If having a traveling element, it would be easier. It depends. I mean, I'm pretty fluid with mine. I don't really care. I'll swap like potions and shit and help people.
No, I think that could still work.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't be aware of certain things that are going on within the community because otherwise it might ruin the mystery of what you're trying to solve.
Oh, I see. Because we're coming into that town to
find someone.
Okay. Yeah, I think the traveling thing would probably be a better.
Yeah, especially if you're connected with the Keller house.
Yeah.
I don't think it necessarily makes sense that they would just have an agent living in a small plantation community that only, serves like 400, 500 people.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
What year are we thinking about this, Dan?
1908.
Oh, 8.
Yeah. It would be post-Civil War. The most recent war would have been the Filipino-American War, which would have wrapped up in 1901 or 1900.
That was a fucked up war. A lot of brown people died for a country that's thousands of miles away that they'd never go to or ever see.
Also, the invasion of Cuba for the first time would have occurred around that time, while the Filipino-American War, was pretty tragic. Not that many U.S. soldiers were sent there, nor to Cuba, and the interactions between like Texas and Mexico weren't like massive battles, so it was like smaller pockets of violence.
Okay, I think one of the things that I might need to do just to do some logistical things, I might have to be my character might have to be connected to the government in some way, mainly just because this is post Chinese Exclusion Act and pre-Immigration Act, so it's just this weird it's in that 30-year span of 1890 to 1924 or something where there was like literally zero yellow people coming in, like super special exceptions, which I think is totally possible. And
Teddy Roosevelt was the president. Okay,
like I could have like ambassador, I don't know, some sort of connection, maybe even to British government, where like I would be considered a British operative as opposed to an Asian operative or something like that. That makes it so that there would be exceptions made.
Yeah.
In a realistic or logical sense. I'll do some researching. What is the power that this organization has as far as like it being a secret society, like being, called upon for, like, is it like Men in Black?
No, but they are, because they do like private performances for a lot of like industrialists and politicians, doing spirit readings in their parlor and stuff like that. They are deeply connected to high levels of government and industry, newspapers.
Okay, so then like by that mark, it could even be possible that like this person was brought over from this place for a specific series of in-home engagements, or like for a series of seances, or like spirit communications within the homes of this, like it's like a tour. Like it could be, it could be that maybe that's a thing. Like,
yeah, I think that probably would have happened. I can't say that with like 100% certainty. Yeah, but it probably did happen.
Well, I mean, they brought performers over from the UK, from all over the world to America.
Yeah.
For a long time now. Like it's been a thing that's been happening for ages. So there's probably some sort of system, or maybe this is like the earliest advent of the N1 exceptional talent visa.
Yeah.
The first N1 receivers are actually all magic users, like mystical arts secret operatives that this person's a melodrama actor. Like, oh, this person is a composer. They're exceptionally talented. They must be here. Like, but one person like shapeshifts and the other person like can control people's minds through music, or so. I don't know. Like,
yeah, interesting. Yeah, I feel like there are ways for your.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just things that I'm thinking of, like, in order to make a solid, series of actions of why are you here and how did you get here?
But I also like that, just like in the grander schemes of like people aren't expecting someone who is Asian to be in these areas, and the people have been being like, how the fuck did you get into, like, how are you here?
I think I may set myself like lingually to have a British accent, like culturally, as far as like it's one of the best ones I can do because I want to crack on. But then like I feel as though it would be a distinguishing factor because this is my life, but like race and class and sort of this idea of how this foreign human would be perceived in this particularly rural, sort of setting, as well as then having this very elevated speech that people recognize and understand where that's from or what that denotes, but then being attached to a face that they would never actually make that
association
with. Yeah.
Restrictions to Japanese immigrants to the United States is official in 1900.
So yeah, if your character came before that, especially under the auspices of the far-reaching pockets of Keller House, bending government rule and stuff like that, you could definitely play that you're either Korean or...
I would probably do either Korean or Japanese because those are the closest ones that I feel most comfortable doing.
The New York Times Square ball dropped for the first time in 1908.
Oh, that's interesting. That's really bizarre.
Whoa, fire in Pennsylvania kills 170 people.
Yeah, at an opera house.
Wow.
There's so many fires that happened this year. There's a fire in Michigan that killed 37 people. There was a fire in Cleveland.
I mean, yeah, but because these people, there are no such things as fire alarms, and there are no such things as sprinklers yet.
Well, there also wasn't really anything as like actual fire brigades by that time. Yeah, it was all like local things, right? Or like
after the Chicago fire, things started. I think.
When was the Chicago fire?
1871.
Yes, I think they would have started. They might not have been like ready and battle tested, but they would have had like.
It wasn't everyone come out and grab your bucket.
Yeah, it would have been a little more organized than the buckets. It would have been like, oh, these guys who have done the bucket thing before are going to do the bucket thing now.
There was a Springfield race riot in 1908.
Oh, yeah.
Some black men were accused of raping 2 white women. Sheriff snuck them out of town before they were lynched, and then a mob of 5,000 white Americans destroyed an entire town.
Yep. we learned about this in school. I don't feel like it was contextualized.
Yeah.
It was a fully racial thing when I was in school. But it is definitely... Yeah, Springfield was before Tulsa.
Yeah. I mean, there were so many, unfortunately. That's the sad part.
Well, yeah. If you look at the years in 1900 that I sent in the group chat, like in 1907, there were race riots in San Francisco because they segregated Japanese children from white children.
Yep.
The next year in 1909, there were race riots around the country because an African-American boxer had beat a white heavyweight boxer.
The Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, the first Greek letter organization by and for Black college women, is established. Mother's Day is there for the first time.
And Devin's Day, whoever Devin is.
Betty Davis was born in 1908.
Betty Davis.
Tex Avery was born in 1908.
Really?
Jimmy Stewart was born in 1908.
Stewart. Oh, gee. Jimmy Stewart.
The Model T Ford was introduced in 1908 for $800. They sold that thing for $800, which is approximately $21,500 in 2017. $800 for a car becomes
In
$21,000.
today's money, that just makes me think of fucking My Favorite Murder. In today's money, that would be $17 million.
Joseph McCarthy was born in 1908.
Whoa. That's bizarre and funny.
Oklahoma is introduced to the United States in February of 1908.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
46 stars added to the United States flag.
Oklahoma. Oh, wait, you meant the state. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oklahoma. What? On the plane. And the wiving wheat sure smells sweet when the wind comes by the rain. We know we belong to the plane. Oh, sorry. I want to say, yeah, yay.
I shouldn't be spending $63 in books about Appalachian folk magic. So I'm trying to figure out which one I should take out of my thing, so I only get 3 books instead of 4 books.
A lot of them are
Can you get them on Kindle for cheaper?
Yeah.
And I fuck that, I want a book.
I want the paper. I must feel the incantation.
Surprisingly, Target has all of these.
On their shelves right now?
You witchy Target.
No, you have to buy it from online. They don't have them in stores.
The Chicago Cubs won the World Series in 1908. I forgot.
Well, yeah, I mean, duh. That's the only other time we've won it. I'm very aware.
Everything should take place of the curse of the Chicago Cubs. Like, after they win the World Series, all this shit hits the fan in Kentucky for some reason.
What was the name of that goat?
It's the Billy
I don't
Goat.
remember the exact story.
Curse of the Billy Goat. Here we go.
Yep.
Pet goat named Murphy was bothering other fans. Cianis was asked to leave Wrigley Field.
Oh, so he brought a goat into the stands with him?
Yes, his pet goat named Murphy was bothering his other fans. Cianis was asked to leave Wrigley Field. On his way out, he declared that them Cubs, they aren't going to win no more, which had been interpreted to mean that the Cubs would never win again. Another National League pennant, at least for the remainder of Cianis' life.
Just imagine you go to a baseball game now, or like a hockey game or whatever, and the person sitting next to you has a goat. Excuse me, sir, but your goat is eating my popcorn.
What else is a goat supposed to do at a baseball game, sir?
Just staring at you with those like dead rectangle eyes. Like,
maybe you should give it some popcorn. What did it? I mean, geez, it's just some fucking popcorn, man.
$18 popcorn.
I'm sorry, this is my therapy goat, so it's allowed to be here.
I saw that someone had a therapy peacock.
They're trying to get on a plane.
What a peaceful noise the peacock makes.
For real. Oh.
Isn't that what they sound like? It's something weird like that, right?
Yeah. I believe they also hiss when they get angry. Like a lot of snake noises they use in movies, I believe, are peacocks.
Really?
Oh.
Oh my god.
Show me no peacock.
Yeah. Such a totally calming noise to have while you're sitting on an airplane.
And then those people who have like them as pets, just imagine that.
Oh,
Like every morning.
Hey, Earl, do you have any exciting news going on in your life?
Well, it just so happens to be that today, the day this broadcasts, is the day that this project that I've been working on for many years is finally releasing. Ghost of Tsushima, which is the newest PlayStation 4 exclusive IP video game produced by Sucker Punch Productions, is releasing today. I play a character in the game named Norio. It's me, Norio! Hopefully you find him, and hopefully you save him, please. Otherwise, I just won't be in your game, which, is up to you. Because it's choice, and you're a player, and the open world.
And if you don't do it the first time, play it again.
Yeah. If you missed me completely the first time, I'm going to have to tell you probably fucked up the game.
Yeah.
You should start a hashtag save Earl.
Save Norio.
Hashtag save Norio. I mean, yeah. don't miss him. I mean, it's kind of hard to miss me, but like, I just don't think the game would be as fun for you because you don't get this. Championing you at every turn, helping you be a better ninja samurai.
Sucker Punch, the game developers, they're probably most famous for the Infamous series.
Yes, Infamous 1 and 2, Second Son, all of the Infamous. Sly Cooper is their other, and then...
So this game is falling in a lineage of great games.
Yeah, I mean, I think
so.
It's also really nice because this game falls at a sort of bookend for the PS4. I think it's really nice and is a really great sort of, I don't know, feather in Sucker Punch's cap. I'm pretty sure Second Son was a release PS4 title. Or like with the console, you had this new Infamous game. And then sort of at the close of the console, really, I'm nearly positive that this is the final PS4 exclusive, like AAA PS4 exclusive title for that console.
Fantastic.
So for those of you who don't follow video games, Ghost of Tsushima is a open world action adventure RPG that puts you in the shoes of a samurai warrior named Jin Sakai. And he essentially is the survivor of the Mongolian invasion of Tsushima Island of Japan that happens all the way back in the 1200s. And you play as Jin going through this post-invasion Tsushima Island, essentially trying to save your island and your country from Mongol invaders who are basically brutalizing your entire country and way of life. And through this, you are forced to use a series of new tactics and new ways of fighting that sort of would not have been initially done in the sort of terms of warfare back then. You sort of resort into becoming this figure known as the Ghost. And therefore, you are becoming the first ninja. So it has elements of stealth, it has elements of platforming, it has all of these sort of really intricate, beautiful visuals wrapped up in this journey of becoming this force. It should be an exciting game for y'all.
Well, we're all super excited. Are you planning on maybe Twitch streaming your playthrough of it or anything like that?
Well, I am technically, as of now, I have the entirety of the 17th today off. I will probably be twitching, we'll be streaming, we'll be at least recording maybe something. Hopefully being able to get to the point where I see myself on a screen in a video game, which will be like a really super surreal moment for me, and probably everyone else around me.
Playing it in the other room.
Yeah.
What are your social deets so people can watch you discover yourself in the game?
Yes. On Twitch, my handle is earlofsammitch. MITCH. Normally, it's just like Sammitch, not Sam ITCH, but that one was somehow taken by someone already in Twitch. Whoever you are, that's my name. Or as well as like I'll probably be I tweet and socials a lot. You can find me on Instagram at Firestorm or at Earl of Sammitch on Twitter. EARLOFSAMMICH. And then also, if you are going on the socials, please connect to Dice Try and all of everyone else on the team, because we all post interesting, wonderful, generally leftist, radical things. So hold on to your hats, folks.
Crista, are you still doing live streams of makeup?
Yes, I took a little bit of a break. Usually every Wednesday I do them, maybe on Saturdays as well, depending on how slow things are for me. So you can find that at Crista Llewellyn MUA. So it's CRISTALLEWELLYN MUA. It's a long one. That's just my name.
There's a great video where Crista does my face.
Yeah.
Where we do a little tiny face.
Mm-hmm.
Little tiny face drag makeup.
On the nose.
Y'all should watch that. That's pretty great.
That's fun. That's up on my Instagram. And then I also am going to be launching an Etsy page for my face masks, and like I make brush rolls and makeup mats and things like that. So you can find that on Etsy as ShopRogue. And then eventually I'm going to have an Instagram up. I don't know the handle for that yet because I haven't made it, but it will probably be something around ShopRogue. And you can find all of the links at my personal account, which is Lady_Rogue_. Sorry for the complications. It's harder to say it out loud than just typing it into something.
That's all right. I had a thought the other day. How would you do a makeup to make somebody's skin look like the bark of a tree?
You can have prosthetic pieces like that. You can also just paint sort of a la Peter from Hunger Games. You can do that illusion with just painting that texture into there using highlights and shadows. But to get the like actual texture of it, you could do like a prosthetic piece. You could do like tissue and latex to get that sort of like texture-y if you want to do it a little cheaper, and depending on the type of tree. So.
Yeah, are you a smooth skin
like
tree?
A birch tree might be different than a cedar tree.
Redwood.
I thought that would just be a cool thing to maybe do on your.
That would be a fun one. I really want to do a makeup. I've been trying to plan it with my friend Kate of doing that scene in Greek mythology of Daphne running away from Apollo and turning into the tree. So I want to do that like body paint of like half like female and then half turning into a olive tree.
Oh, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
If you did the hand, like that would be. I would be like because you've seen the painting of the woman who's like twisting and like
she's like
her
this.
hands like go up into the like the tree canopy.
There's a sculpture too.
Yeah.
Of that.
Yeah. Greek mythology, such great source material.
GTM, what do you have going on?
I have an Instagram at gtoya.melendez, which is like my professional. I have a YouTube channel called At the Bar Drunk Movie Reviews that everyone should check out on YouTube. And where I get my friends drunk and we review. And Dan's done some episodes.
We've all done
episodes. Earl's done episodes. I feel bad because I told Dan we were going to do Star Wars like 2 months ago, and then we never did.
I still haven't watched it.
Let's do it.
I mean, you're not missing much. I was going to say, Gabe, hopefully if the scheduling continues correctly, because we are technically, I think, on track for Han to be available on Amazon Prime, hopefully within the next month.
Oh, nice.
So that's exciting. Gabe and I made a short film way back a few years ago, 2017? 2016 going into 2017. We took it on the festival circuit. We won a couple of awards. We got admitted to a couple of festivals. And it kind of sort of sat on the shelf for a bit just because both Gabe and I have been super busy. And then Zach, our other co-creator, cohort, co-genius, we've all sort of been doing a bunch of things. But finally, we got some stuff together, and we've uploaded a version of it to Amazon Prime direct. So hopefully in the next coming weeks, that will get approved and will be available, and y'all can actually see the awesome work that we do.
You can see it. You could rent it. You can buy it. You can stream it.
Where you want, you can have it.
Yeah. You can have a copy of our love.
Mm-hmm. You get to hear my mom. You get to see all sorts of things. Like it's a good time. It's a good time.
What are you up to, Dan? You want to?
Oh, you can follow me, Hemingway Light, on all the socials. That's HEMINGWAYLITE, Hemingway Light, at Twitter and Instagram. I don't really post a whole lot on there. You may occasionally see me post something angry at like 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday.
Those are my favorite tweets.
Oh, did you read that entire thread?
No.
Oh, I was very angry.
Angry Dan.
But other than that, I don't have a whole lot going on right now. Maybe hopefully in the future I can post something exciting for you.
Well, I was thinking this doesn't have to go into the episode, but maybe posting things on the research that you're doing for Dice Strike would be really interesting, or build up to what we're going to go into, like
a preview or like a hinting or
like here's an interesting thing about what happened in 1908, or here's an interesting thing about what happened in the Tobacco Wars,
Yeah.
But it's enough there that I think people can be like, oh, this is really interesting. Why are they posting this?
I think we have an hour's worth of material.
Well, yeah, and we can edit it
with the one that we talked about last week.
Too, right?
Yeah.
And that can be our episode of just like talking about stuff.
I did just realize, wow, we've been talking for a while and I have not done an intro to the episode because we were just talking. Well, hello and welcome to this episode of Dice Try. Thank you for listening to the episode, everybody, and it was nice to chat with you all.
Hey!
Yeah.
Nailed it.
See.
Thank you for listening to Dice Try. I'm your host, Daniel Schaub, and this episode's cast has included Paul Dixon, Earl Kim, and Crista Llewellyn. This production has been edited by Gabriel Toya-Melendez with special music provided by Glenn Davis. Please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Dice Try Podcast. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe and review.
I tried to walk into a Target the other day, but I missed.
Get out.
Hey guys, what do you call a Sasquatch with a good throwing arm?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
A Yeetie.
I'm just going to shake my head. Just keep shaking my head.
Why are you guys so upset?
Oh, wow. The original cast recorded Hamilton in 1908.
I don't even get that joke.
It's not a joke.
That's a game joke.
Yeah.